read the caption of the broadcast, the description of the broadcast as well, the body. Then like it, share it. Invite your friends, invite your not so friendly friends, and tell them that Maiyegun is live. Maiyegun today. And if you have done that already, thank you. Hang on, let me position this camera. No, the other way. Right. So thanks so much for joining me. The number is right there on the screen. Save it. It's just WhatsApp call only. And your call can be picked. You get what I mean? Like anytime. So yesterday, no, yesterday, 2 days ago now, right? Remi Tifnumbu, Remi Ahmed Tifnumbu, Rat, the Nigeria's vex lady, told us that in 5 days, she's raised over 20 billion naira as money gifted to her for her birthday, for purposely to raise money for the completion of the National Library. Keeps reoccurring, right? So in their release, in our release, he stated that Buhari, the dead Buhari, also contributed to Rat's birthday gift come National Library. I don't know how to tag the money, right? But it was meant to be a 65th birthday money. Now, Buhari, she didn't state how much Buhari gave her. However, Buhari is listed among those who gave her money. Buhari's widow, alleged widow, Aisha, also gave her money. Then she listed Akpabiole, those who are working with her husband, Akpabiole, his deputy, Abbas, his zone deputy, state governors. And in 5 days, they gave her 20.5 billion naira. And it's still growing, by the way. And you could wake up tomorrow and that could be probably 30, 40 billion. So to say, a birthday has come and gone, by the way. But here, for context, 20.5 billion naira. Just for context, right? IGR by state in Nigeria. Okay. So that you can have an idea. Say, okay, the entire Zamfara state as of 2022 generated 6.5 billion. This was for a whole year. And in 2023, they said they have generated like 22.1 billion. That's the growth, right? Now, if you look at that, Zamfara is the least too. Here you get. Now, when you begin to check the revenue of each state, and this is yearly or not monthly or just yearly, and put that side by side with what Remi Werikwe said she generated. So these are sort of like triggered reactions. There's always a reaction, right? So trigger reactions and people asking questions and documenting all of these. Okay. So they are saying that open money laundering is taking place right before your, or pretty much like the celebration of corruption, which has become so legitimized in that contraption under the APC. So open celebration of corruption, like people who will steal from the public till, not from their pockets, from the public till, and gift it to, like crowd fund for an individual whose office in itself, right? Whose existence simply because she's the wife to your president, so to say, So a lot of reactions. But Buhari, I wish they could probably allow a bit of a probity so that you can know how much Buhari gave from his grave, So, or somebody gave on behalf of Buhari, but it was listed that Buhari actually gave them money, gave Remi Werikwe money. So it's like that. When Buhari himself heard that. Now, something else, still talking about money. Okay. So, I think it was also 2 days ago, right? When Buhari, I'm sorry, Tinubu's taxmen, the pickpockets, were having a media sort of like engagement to explain to you why they are still borrowing despite the increased in revenue or meeting their revenue target, like Tinubu said. Somebody asked that guy, and his response was that it's like this: you have a budget of 100,000 naira, right? And then you projected that you are going to have a revenue of 80 naira, and you decided that okay, you're going to borrow 80,000, and you're going to borrow 20,000 over the period. And before the August of that same year, the 8th month, right, you've already met 90% of your revenue target. Something like that's what I said, yeah, revenue target. So, but you see how the plan of borrowing, because it's part of your plan, part of your budget. So that is what he gave us an excuse for why they are still borrowing. But he lied. Yes, he did. He lied. Because if you compare how much they have borrowed and how much they intend to borrow, as well as how much they said they have made, they've made from revenue and the rest, if you put them side by side, nothing makes any sense. Let me give you an example. They claimed that they have increased revenue from all sources. So you get like non-oil, oil, gas, whatever, then other taxes like including non-oil, they call it. So they have increased their revenue by 411%. In that sense, right, according to them, uh, they should have enough money, so to say, to fund their own budget. But no, their budget is 50 trillion, if not more. Even though they are currently operating about 4 budgets, by the way, but that's a different story. So their budget is about 50 trillion naira. And they projected that they would generate, by increasing tax and the rest, they would generate at least 25 trillion. However, with what they claim to have been increased revenue disorder, right? So they are claiming that they have actually or have the capacities to generate over 30 trillion. So they still have deficit of 40%. Mind you, projected revenue is like saying, oh, I intend to make, all things being equal, I'm going to make 100,000 this year. All right. It's not like you have the 100,000, just project it. And then you begin to hustle for it everywhere until you get that. And then you can fund whatever you want to fund. That's not what Tinubu and his gang have been doing. So to them, they've lined, so they have kind of like outlined their plan of just borrowing and printing money, which this guy denied. He said they have stopped printing money now, which they call the ways and means. And the story went like, intertwine one another. But let me begin the breakdown down to the best of my own ability. So when Tinubu came in, Buhari already printed and squandered 27.5 trillion naira. They printed the money and it disappeared. That money, around the time, the value of it in dollars was $50 billion. Nobody could say what they used the money for. So when Tinubu came in, within a space of just 1.5 years, Tinubu himself had printed over 20 trillion naira. That time when he first came in, that was why last year, I think, Tinubu came out, or Tinubu's men, they came out and said, oh, they are going to securitize they're going to securitize the loan. That means the money printed by Buhari with the interest of about 1 point something trillion to the central bank of the country, which destroyed your economy to some level before Tinubu came. Then he just came in and he just kind of like finished it up. And yeah, took it to where it is and hoping that it will begin to kind of like decline back at some point. And if it doesn't get to back to where you were, at least you'll be grateful if it's kind of like, descend a bit, sort of, if nombonomic. So they decided to now, before they printed their money, or after they have printed their own money, they now said, you know what, Tinubu has paid off the nearly 30 trillion, I'm sorry, nearly 30 trillion printed by Buhari. He didn't pay a dime, he didn't pay any jack back. But this is how they doctored the book, make it like, okay, Nigeria will now pay it as a loan for the next 100 years. Money where they print for the central bank. He didn't pay it back, but to doctor the book, to make everything look like, we have cleared the backlog, we have cleared this and that, when they didn't. So the chart doctors, they doctored it, put it that way. And right now, according to this Aditya thing, he said, no, they've stopped printing money. There's no point in printing money anymore because they are making enough money. Like there's money. They have revenue, this or that. But how come you're still borrowing? Why do you need to borrow like nearly $22 billion? Like everywhere you've been to, it's about like beggy, why? That's why he gave that excuse. And I said, how does $22 billion dollars, if they finally access that, is that 20% of your budget when it is practically almost 90% of your budget? That's what you want to borrow. So where is this money? That's what somebody asked him. His response, Adedeji, your tax master, FIRS guy, some called him MC Oluero in suits. I don't know what you call him, but listen. Mr. Adedeji, yeah.
So we don't need to rush them. I will start from my sister, ways and means. What we said is that we have stopped ways and means. If you remember, one of the decisions of Mr. President is to collateralize ways and means. So we'll stop printing, and then the whole loan is taken as federal government loan. And we are paying principal, we are paying interest. So the loan, and that is why you have the stability in the system. That is why you don't have the pressure on the exchange rate, because all pillars of the real economic indices are firmly grounded. So it's not about how much, it is about the fact that it is well recognized in federal government book and as part of the loan that has interest and that we are paying back. And that is what I mean by we stopped it. Not only that we stopped it, we are servicing the loan. And when you say you service the loan, what it means that you pay capital, you pay interest depending on the approved tenor of that interest. That is what it means. My sister from my right, thank you for your good question. And it is the right time to check. Because without want to throw any jive, what is the component of a budget of a country? So you have your expenditure, you have your revenue, and you have loan in all budgets. So if my expenditure for this year is 100,000, and my plan is that 80 will be from my revenue and I will borrow 20. And I've done revenue of 90 and I'm borrowing according to what I have in my budget of borrowing 10. So what is the problem in that? And another thing that people should understand, borrowing is not a problem. Forget that banks are part of our economic ecosystem. There is no country or an individual in the world that don't forget that government borrows from banks. It's from that interest they pay their salary. It is from the salary that bank pays that they pay taxes to state government. It is from this profit difference between deposit that give them profit that I collect tax. So when you say you go for lending, what anybody anywhere is that you go for sustainable, and that is why you see what Mr. President or Minister of Finance. Have you ever had Minister of Finance say that he's borrowing to pay salary or to do anything? And why do you do it? I'll give you typical example. Look at this structure that we are in. Imagine that it has not been built the year it was built. How much will it cost today? So you borrow in order to beat their cost in the future. That's one. Secondly, you borrow because of what we call matching concept in business, most especially when you have continuity. Anything that I will use that will go beyond my lifetime, why do I need to use my own time to do it? So when you borrow to do road and you collect taxes in the future for everybody that is using that road to pay their own fair share. So when you see we borrow, it is part of economic plan. And you, any company or any country that will grow has to borrow, because it is part of the ecosystem of a viable nation. So when those people that are just container economics, they say they borrow, they do things, I look at them. And you will see that as much as you invite me, because sometimes you look at those people that want to engage you. And do they really ask the right question? Or do they even understand, or they are also downloading what people are downloading on WhatsApp? And and they are asking questions. So when Mr. President said we met or we are doing well in revenue and say, hey, why are they borrowing? Is borrowing not part of the budget we submitted to National Assembly? Is it not what is approved? Are we borrowing outside what is approved? But you know, most of them, they find it difficult to just check what goes on, and thank God our people are here.
Nuisance Lele. Nuisance Lele.
Don't think he didn't know what he's doing, right? That is the tax master of Nigeria, appointed by Tinubu, explaining to you when somebody said, oh, hang on, you have been rolling out all these figures, and they all look so good. How come that your excessive borrowing, which you have been hiding, they are doing so well to hide some of them? They will call them, they will call them bond. They will sell bond just to take a quick cash, small loan that they will use crude oil to fund later. So the primary thing is this. People can read how much loan already approved for Tinubu. And yeah, in fairness, doesn't mean that once they approve loan for them, they've automatically got the loan. Do you understand now? So it's not like that. And that they approved, for example, $22 billion loan for Tinubu. When you read the approval from their National Assembly, right? It will say, oh, the money they can go ahead and borrow between this year and next year, to keep you confused. Now, the National Assembly of Nigeria, based on the happenings or on facts now, National Assembly of Nigeria received loan request from Tinubu, and they approved the loans. And usually, right, if you want to, apply for the loan approval before you go out and borrow, first you would have been, you are kind of like assured of who is going to loan you the money. Number two, when you present such to the National Assembly, right, you have to attach what you want to use the loan for. Do you understand? Like, we are going to take $3 billion from the World Bank for electricity projects. What electricity? This particular project, they will name it. All right? We are going to take $1 billion from the IMF, okay, for this road construction. Yes, they will name it like that. So the National Assembly guys will scrutinize it, see how they arrive at how much. they arrive at that number of loan they want to take. Like, how did you arrive at 1 billion? How did you arrive at, you know what I mean? They will scrutinize everything, then approve if they are satisfied. But that is not what they are doing in Nigeria. So to Tinubu, he will tell, they said that the federal government project, listen to